And you were listening to Season 6 of the award-winning Christian Outdoors Podcast with your host, Pete Rogers. All right, everyone, and welcome back to Christian Outdoors Podcast. I'm Pete Rogers, your host. Joining with me again is John Goodwin, who is helping with this episode. And John also is the one who does our devotions on Wednesdays, every Wednesday devotions from Christian Outdoors. But we have with us today, once again, we had him last year, I believe it was, Caleb Giddings, who is the marketing manager director. He's going to correct me on this title in just a minute, from Taurus USA. And one of the main topics we want to talk about today is obviously Taurus and the great handguns and now rifles that they make, but also the other members of the Taurus family, which is Rossi and Heritage. So Caleb, thank you for joining us here on Christian Outdoors. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today.
Yeah, man, it's my pleasure. It's good to be back. But yeah, my official formal title is General Manager of Marketing, which just means that I oversee a lot of the marketing efforts, not just for Taurus USA, but across the three brands in the family. And for people who don't know, we're Taurus Holdings Incorporated is sort of our parent company here in the US. And then under that, we have Taurus USA, we have Rossi USA, and we have Heritage Manufacturing, all of which produce different products along sort of different kind of lines and focuses, I think. And then, within Taurus, obviously, we've started really leaning hard into the hunting space in the last couple of years, which with the Raging Hunters, which we've always have, which has always been a very popular hunting handgun, but also with the introduction of the expedition rifle as well, which has been a pretty big hit for us.
Yeah, it is. And Taurus has always been known as a carry gun. Mm-hmm. Whether it's the G4, G2, G3, G insert number here, which is whatever's coming next, right? And all those of which I personally carry. But with the hunting handguns as well, and I've gone on record and John also is he hunts with a Taurus Raging Hunter 454.
Raging Bull. Yeah, 454.
Oh, the Raging Bull. Yeah. That was the predecessor to the Raging Hunters. And those were great guns. The big changeover that we did from the Bull to the Hunter was the addition of that accessory rail on the top of the gun. Yeah. So for me, I really did enjoy having an optic on my revolver, especially when I was in Africa, because I took a 66-yard shot at a wildebeest with that gun, and nice. I made the shot and everything, and I was thinking afterwards, I'm like, man, I wouldn't have taken that shot if I had irons on this gun. That would have just been too much of a reach.
Yeah, and with the Bull, I actually purchased a rail. I had to remove the rear sight. Mm-hmm. An aftermarket rail put on there in order to, I probably should have just gotten the Raging Hunter is what I should have done.
Yeah, absolutely. Get both, right? As the marketing manager, I think you should definitely get both of these guns.
I'm sure you agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. One in every caliber as well.
Of course. I'm a big fan of the 44, of course.
Yeah. It is, in my opinion. I've written a lot about hunting handguns. The 44 is the best all around hunting handgun caliber, I believe. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One is ammunition's available. It comes in several different weights, from 180s up to 240s. I think it is.
You can go all the way up to, I think, under
300. I think you go 300.
Yeah. I think Buffalo Bore will load you a hard, gas checked hard cast 300 deadly game round. So
right. And you don't have as many options in some of the other calibers, but with the 454 Raging Hunter, which I have, and John can attest this, and you can too. It's violent when you pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the 44 is manageable.
Yeah. I've never really thought, out of the Raging Hunter, obviously so I've got the one with the 6.7-inch barrel. I've never really thought that the 44 was particularly violent or particularly uncontrollable. What I will say is I was shocked at how loud it was, because on that Africa hunt, when I took that shot at that wildebeest, I might have forgot to put my hearing protection in before I shot it. And when I tell you my ears, from the high pressure round, from the fact that the gun's ported, my ears were ringing for the next 2 days. And I'm like, let's put some earmuffs on before we shoot that gun again.
Yeah, You've got to have that with those big bores. You got to have protection for the big bores. let's talk about some of the other brands, because I don't know as much about them as you do, Caleb. And
absolutely.
John and I were talking about it ahead of time. Let's start with Heritage.
Okay.
And I understand it's most of a cowboy action stuff, but you educate.
So yeah, if you kind of look at it, that's sort of the surface level of it. But what it's really about is sort of in the name right there, right? Heritage. What's the heritage of the American gun owner? What's the legacy of the American gun owner? And Heritage was launched originally with just the Rough Rider, which is a 22 long rifle, single action revolver. It's made very affordably. You can quite frequently find them for less than $100. And they're just great fun to shoot, right? And we make a million different configurations of those, including the Barkeep, which is a very short barrel with no ejector rod. We make a very fun one called the Tactical Rough Rider, which is got a 7.5-inch barrel and is threaded and has an optics mount on it, a rail you can put an optic on. So it's really just a fun, that product's very fun, but that sort of set the foundation for what Heritage is as a brand of that legacy of the American gun owner. And if you look at the product expansion that we've done on the brand in the last couple of years, you see that reflected. So we brought over pistol caliber lever action rifles. They're all 1892 pattern rifles. Those are all available in pistol cartridges from your 454s down to 357. And we have a couple of really fun ones in there. They're sort of like hidden gems, right? Like we've got a 24-inch octagonal barrel 45 Colt in there. Why? Because it's cool, and it's a really neat thing.
Yeah.
And it really is a lovely gun to behold. And then we added side-by-side shotguns. We started with the Badlander, which is very much a cowboy, coach gun, right? And that was very popular. So we offered it in more gauges. And then people were like, well, we want a hammer gun. So we added a hammer gun along those lines. And then, as part of the Badlander line, we're like, wait a minute, we have a lot of hunters in our company, and there's a lot of people out there who like shooting shotguns. So we added some field models as well, long barrel 28s, 410s, 20 gauges, great guns if you want to go to South Dakota, shoot some pheasants.
Right.
But again, all part of that sort of legacy, that heritage, right? Yeah. That idea of this is what people, in the late 1800s to early 1900s would have used to feed their families, to defend their lives with. And we did add one product that's a little bit later in that history of the American gun owner. We added the Roscoe a couple of years ago, which is a very fun name for a small 5-shot snub-nosed revolver. The gun was very much built and designed with the idea to be evocative of that sort of late 1930s to, immediate post-World War II era of, your guys with, the fedoras and the snub-nosed revolvers and all of that stuff. And it's a beautiful gun. It has just a lovely deep blue finish, wood stocks, but also it's an affordable 5-shot carry gun if that's the sort of thing that you're into. So again, the idea with Heritage is we want to have this identity for the brand and for the products that it ties into the history of gun ownership in America, whether from a defensive standpoint or from a hunting standpoint. And these are all very much either modern replicas of or homages to guns that people would have carried for real back in the 1800s and the early 1900s.
Nice. Now, you mentioned two different times you mentioned the word affordable, right? With the Rough Rider and then the 5-shot that you just mentioned.
Mm.
Is that kind of part of what you're trying to do too with that brand, or is that
yes
carry
and no,
over to everything? Or is that...
Your affordability is a function of production, right? So the lever guns are going to cost more, right? You're looking in that $600 to $800 price point for the lever guns, and the same with the shotguns. Which, again, if you look up the Badlanders online, okay, and you're like, well, it's $700 is a lot of money. I'm like, okay, go buy a CZ because that's $1,500.
right.
And and that's kind of and when you look, especially at that side-by-side market, there's not a lot of people making really good guns in that market right now. Stoker's basically pulled out of it. There's a few here or there that are doing it, but the combination of features and price point that we're able to offer while more expensive than people whose maybe their only exposure to heritage has been $100 for a Rough Rider, and they see a $700 shotgun and they go, I'm like, yeah, but hold on, go find me another $700 side by side with exposed hammers and a deep blue finish and Turkish walnut. Okay, good luck.
Right, in 20 gauge or in 28 gauge, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you're right, because as I'm sitting here thinking about it, the only other side by sides other than the English super expensive, Perch and Kriegorfs and all those, is going to be CZ. That's it. And like you said, that's a $1,200-$1,500 shotgun. And so as a side by side lover, right, then that is certainly a market that is very interesting to me.
Oh, absolutely.
And to any purist. A lot of purist bird hunters want that side by side. You know why? Because we put our eyes beside each other, not on top of each other.
Right. Right. I like that. I'm going to remember that one.
Okay. It just makes sense. Yeah.
No, I mean, and I love it, right? Like, one of my things that I want to do is I used to live in South Dakota and I love pheasant hunting up there. And I want to go back with one of our side by sides and do like a very traditional kind of, driven pheasant hunt up there. I think that'd be fun as heck.
That would be a lot of fun. And I've always thought that the 28 is the best upland gun out there. It is the best. Yeah. The
entire reason that we did a 28 gauge is because one of the things that's happened at Taurus in the last, 5 to 6, 7 years has been building a culture of, for lack of a better word, having gun nerds in the company, right? The guy, our long guns product manager, is absolutely a gun nerd and a hunting nerd. And so when we were talking about the field models, he's like, we have to do a 28 gauge because upland hunters love the 28 gauge and they swear by it. And we were like, okay, let's do a 28 gauge.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now we just need to get a 16 and then we'll be perfect.
16 is tough because nobody makes ammo for it anymore.
It's really hard.
It's so hard to find ammo.
Really hard to find.
I had an A5 in 16 gauge, one of the old ones, and I never shot it because I could never find ammo for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's hard. But as I learned to hunt with a 16 gauge, so I'm a little bit got some sentimental stuff there with it because of that. So does that pretty much cover the whole Rossi brand right there? Rossi.
Yeah.
Brand.
And obviously in broad strokes, that covers a lot of what we're doing with the brand in terms of its brand identity and the products that are out there. And I encourage people to go check them out, right? Like, they're available in stores, everybody, I firmly believe that everybody should own a Rough Rider because, again, it's $100. And if I had my way, I would work with Bass Pro Shops and Academy and those other guys, and we would sell Rough Riders in a clear blister pack as like an end cap, right? You're walking down the aisle at Bass Pro Shop and the gun aisle, and you go, oh yeah, I would like $105 revolver. Thank you very much. Just pop it off there, and it's got a spare 22 mag cylinder in it, and you just and you just go about your business. I think that'd be great. Nobody ever go for it because it gets stolen all the time being in that, but I still think it's a great idea.
It is. And you just mentioned a very important part, the interchangeable cylinder.
Oh yes. All of the Rough Riders can interchange from 22 long rifle to 22 mag. There's a couple of limitations on that, in that we have some 9-shot Rough Rider models, and you can't put the 9-shot 22 mag cylinder in the 6-shot gun, which I feel like is obvious but should be said because sometimes other people don't think that, and then we get angry emails from customers who bought the wrong cylinder. But that's kind of the spirit of the Heritage brand, is what we're trying to do with it, what's available on it. And there's a ton of really fun products out there. Everything from, again, your $99 22 that is your son's first gun or your daughter's first gun, all the way up to 28 gauge upland gun because you want to go pheasant hunting.
Yeah, I was looking online at your coach whip. That is sweet.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, we did that gun entirely because people asked for an exposed hammer gun, because apparently that is something that people who are into side by sides want, an exposed hammer gun. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
I'll make it.
Yeah. Down here in the South, they call them rabbit ears. I don't know why.
I like it.
I've always called them hammer guns, but I've heard other people refer to them as rabbit ear shotguns. Yeah. But I have one, a 20 gauge from 1913, I think it is. American Arms 20 gauge hammer gun. Yeah. Sorry, John.
Well, but those guns used to be so ubiquitous, right? You would go into they'd sell them in the grocery store and the hardware store. Yeah. And it was the side-by-side shotgun probably put more meat on tables in the history of the United States than just about any other gun.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. It's sold for $20 new.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll give you 30.
Nah, I feel bad. I need at least double my money, John.
Okay, 40. So the Rough Rider is obviously your number one seller, I would assume.
Oh, for sure. It's actually one of the top 3 best-selling revolvers in the United States.
Okay, fantastic. Now, what's your second best-selling gun then?
On Heritage, on Heritage, it's the lever actions for sure. Yeah. Okay. I couldn't point at which model, but that's going to be our next best seller across that. Although the Roscoe sells very, very well. Again, because it's in that affordable price point. But probably the lever actions without pulling up my sales data and verifying that.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah, they are, and one of the things I like about them is how pretty they are.
Oh, they're beautiful guns.
They're just really pretty made, and what am I trying to say here? It's like a piece of art, dysfunctional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And in that price point too, you're getting a generational gun. You can hand it down to your grandchildren and so forth and so forth. Really hard to beat that.
You're also not going to feel bad if you beat the hell out of it. It's one of those guns where it is a nice thing to have. It's a lot of fun to shoot, but it's not like you're shooting a heirloom 1892 Winchester, right? You're not tearing up a gun that's actually 200 years old. You've got a gun that is the spirit of that and has a lot of that energy, but at the end of the day, it's also there to do a job.
Right. Very functional. Very functional. Great segue into the Rossi brand.
Well,
John, absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to say he's going to get me into trouble here because as we're talking, I'm cruising the website and I'm just looking at the Rancher rifle. Again,
oh gosh, I almost forgot about the
interchangeable 22 and 20 and 22 mag again. I mean, that's amazing.
The Rancher rifle is basically what if we made a Rough Rider that was long and made it into a carbine, and we did, and people like that gun. I like that gun too. It's a fun gun to shoot. I'm a little bit, when it comes to rifles, I do prefer a more traditional lever action, but for fun factor, that Rancher rifle is hard to beat.
Well, that price point's hard to beat too. I mean,
that's facts. For about $300, it's tough to beat that.
Yeah.
It's very different looking with a revolver on a rifle stock.
Mm-hmm. It surely is. Now, here the secret, and this isn't a secret, like you can Google this, so I'm not like giving away information. But one of the fun things about the Rough Riders is their modularity. So that Rancher rifle is the same as it has the same frame as any other Rough Rider. So we make a Rough Rider with a Rough Rider pistol with a 16-inch barrel. We had a limited edition. We called it, I think we did like a Wyatt Earp edition that had like a 10-inch barrel. Yeah. And so what that means is if you wanted to, you could get a Rancher carbine stock and take the grip off your 4-inch Rough Rider and put the stock on your 4-inch Rough Rider, fill out all of the appropriate paperwork, of course, so you don't break any federal laws. But you could do a lot of very fun and silly things.
That's super cool.
When people ask me why you would want to do that, I'm like, well, because it's fun. Not every gun has to be 100%. For serious things.
Yeah.
Just because you can.
That's exactly.
That's the reason you need. That's the only reason.
That's what toys are for.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So now let's go to Rossi. Tell us about Rossi.
So Rossi is as a brand. So Rossi is a brand identity, and I know like people are like, the marketing guys talking about brand identity, but it helps sort of understand what we're doing with Rossi. And Rossi is the working man's gun. It is the nice working man's gun, right? It's a gun that you look at and you go, this is a nice gun. I'm happy to have this, but also I'm going to strap it to the handlebars of my ATV and I'm going to go through the woods with it, and I'm not going to be worried about what happens to it. It's the sort of thing where if you think about it, where we have Rossi positioned right now as a brand is where Winchester was in the 1960s. No one thought of Winchester as a luxury brand in 1967, but it was the rifle that you bought at Sears, the rifle that you bought at the hardware store. And now, obviously, they're a much more high tier, much expensive brand. And that's where Rossi fits in. Rossi is that gun for this generation of shooters, hunters, farmers, people like that who are looking for something that maybe has a little bit more. And this is not to knock AR-15s. I have like 4 of them in my closet behind me, but something that maybe has a little bit more personality than an AR-15, but is still functional,
Right.
And you can't look me in the eyes and tell me that a 30-30 with wood furniture doesn't have more personality than an AR-15, because it does.
It does. Yes. A lot more.
Mm-hmm.
I love that description, the working man's gun.
Absolutely.
That needs to be that needs to be the slogan. The working man's gun. I like that.
And if you look across, all of the different products that we have on Rossi, so starting with the lever actions, we brought out the R95 2-ish years ago in rifle calibers first, in 30-30, and then in 45-70. And then this year we've added the pistol calibers to the R95. We've added some fun stuff too, like we have, a mare's leg configuration pistol caliber R95, some fun things in there. And, the point of those guns is, again, it's a gun that you're more than happy to hunt with, more than happy to do work with. And you're also not and it fits into that that area in the pricing table where you're like, all right, I can go get this. The R95s are also all great because they take the same furniture as any of the Marlin 1895s. So if you have Marlin 1895 furniture, the R95 furniture fits that. And it fits it 1-to-1 by design, because why reinvent the wheel? We know that this is a popular platform that works really, really well. We don't need to go and do something, smarter. We don't need to try to outsmart ourselves, and more importantly, outsmart the customer, right? So that was why we went with that pattern on those guns. And we have some pretty interesting ones in there as well. My personal favorite are the stainless laminate guns. I have the 4570 stainless laminate.
With the big loop on it, that is a beautiful gun. Yeah.
With the big loop, the brass bead front sight, the ghost ring rear sight, it's already got a rail on it. Yeah, love that gun. I have a 4570 that I'm taking up to North Carolina it's my backup gun for the black bear hunt, but I'm going to be up there for 5 days hunting black bear. And if I can't get one to come close enough to get it with the revolver, I'm going to be like, all right, last couple of days, we got to get this bear. We're getting out the rifle now. So,
that's right. Yeah. Yeah, that is a beautiful gun. It really is. Mm-hmm. And I love the big loop on the lever action.
Oh, yeah. I love a big loop.
But it's also, and the R92, how's it different? Oh, it has a straight stock instead of a pistol stock.
Well, yeah, and the R92 is your 1892 pattern. And we're slowly phasing out the R92s from Rossi, and you're going to see them live as the Heritage 92, so that kind of got moved over from Rossi to Heritage. With a couple of cosmetic changes, but functionally the same gun. And then for other stuff, if you kind of look around, we have the Rossi revolvers, which again, they are nice. They are great guns to own, and they're not going to hurt your wallet too much. They're all 3 very similar in that they're 6-shot, 357 Magnum medium frame guns. We have a 3-inch with fixed sights, a 4-inch with adjustable, and a 6-inch with adjustable sights, and a variety of finishes. Very, very simple. Like, oh, I need a 357 Magnum revolver. Here you go. No bells and whistles, but it'll get the job done. And then some of the other fun stuff that we have. So we have the Brawler pistols, which I love the Brawler pistols. We launched those. We launched the first Brawler pistol last year when we launched the Survival rifle. So the Survival rifle and the original Brawler pistol, they are break action 45/410s. And then we expanded that line this year on the Brawler side with a 300 blackout and a 223 on the pistol side. And then on the rifle side, We have, and I forget the exact name. Oh, the LWC, the Rossi lightweight carbine, which is a single shot rifle chambered in, 5.56, 300 blackouts, or your usual calibers. And the whole idea from that, again, is it's that working man's gun. You guys remember New England Firearms, right? The old NEF handy rifles, the single shot guns. Those were great guns. And when Cerberus destroyed that entire group of firearms manufacturers, we lost the handy rifle, and bringing it back has been a huge success for us. People love those guns. They want something that is durable, shootable, and you can slap an optic on with very little effort. And so here's your working man single shot.
And again, those are run around $300 as well.
Oh gosh.
Did I see?
I mean, street price, probably even less than that.
Okay.
The broader pistols, your street price. Oh my goodness. I love it when I go to a website to try to look something up and I get like 400 pop-ups. Rossi Brawler.
No, see, I don't care for that like you do. I just don't care.
So your Rossi Brawlers, your street price on these is under $300 for the pistols. Like I'm looking at the 300 blackout one, and it's $265 on a retailer. And then your lightweight carbines, the LWC, those are going to be maybe. Oh yeah, those are again running in the mid 300s. We've got them in 300 blackout, 44 mag, 357 mag, 350 legend, which very popular. I was sort of surprised at how popular that one was, but yeah, we have all of these, and we've got them. We just this year launched them with folding stock, actually.
Oh,
nice. And the folding stock makes the gun. So I have a Brawler pistol in 45 Colt 410 that I SBR'd and put the folding stock on. And I tell you, the overall length of it is like this,
Oh, wow.
It's, And again, back to that question of why, I'm like, I don't know, it seemed fun. And I was right. It was fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Those straight wall cartridges, the 350 Legend and now the 400 Legend, and some of those are so popular in the Midwest where they have straight wall cartridge only laws for hunting deer.
Yeah.
And it's such a good round, a good caliber for what it does.
Well, and that's why we also did the R95 in 350 as well. So we can have that straight wall long cartridge, because technically the 30-30 is a tapered round. And I'm like, oh no, it's so much more dangerous.
It is. And you got the buck hammer also for those who
the 360 buck hammer. That's the one I was thinking of. In my defense, I get 350 Legend and 360 buck hammer confused in my head a lot, because I'm like, I know there's two straight wall cartridges that were made just for this.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And it's because they're so new too as well. So, in the cartridge world that we're talking about, a lot of these calibers we're talking about are hundreds of years old, right? So when you get a new one, it's like, okay. And the name Buckhammer is just kind of an odd name.
It is. I mean, I get it. That's definitely, I say this as a marketing guy, that's definitely a name that was thought up by someone in a marketing team.
Had to be.
Absolutely.
Had to be.
All right. Yeah. But no. So, with Rossi, we have some other interesting products in there that I really like related to the LWC. So the LWC, the survival rifle, the Brawler, and then the Tuffy shotguns all share a similar action type, single shot break action. The Tuffy Turkey in 410 is one of my favorite guns. I have one that I've set up for a turkey hunt. I set it up for a turkey hunt that got canceled because I ended up getting deployed. And my favorite thing about it was after I set the gun up, I bought that, I think it's Federal, that makes the TSS turkey loads.
Yeah.
And 2 boxes of that cost more than the gun.
I know, they're $8.
It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. But I mean, it patterns great. It's unbelievable how good that stuff patterns.
Yes. But the gun's listed for $187.99 on your website. I mean, it's for under $200. And like you said, if you get Apex or Verdict's TSS shots, they're $8 to $12 per shell.
Yeah, I of course had to buy 2 boxes of 20 because that's how my brain works, right? I couldn't just be like, I only need a box of 5.
Right. I mean, it's a $200 shotgun. How can you not beat that?
It's
Definitely.
tough. And I mean, we've had people, successfully hunt with those. It's funny because I didn't realize how much hunting was done with our products across Rossi and Heritage and stuff like that until I started looking into it and leaning into that and realizing people are out there shooting turkeys with the Tuffy shotgun, shooting, in some places they would use them as deer. They'd, throw, we used to have they would take the 20 gauge turkey gun and they'd use it as a slug gun for deer, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So it's really interesting to see these rifles or these shotguns, these rifles in the case of the R95 being used like that. My boss took an R95 to Africa just recently, shot a Cape Buffalo with the 4570. He was using, I think, the Buffalo Bore Dangerous Game 4570 load, which is screaming out of that gun,
Yeah.
So, but with respect to the Rossi brand, it's very much like I hate to say it's in that Yellowstone niche because it's very played out and a lot of people have used that to market to, but that's kind of where it's at. It's a working gun for a working man or
Right.
woman.
Well, yeah, and I appreciate that because I think one of the things that we've talked about on the show several times is how we've in essence on a lot of areas of the outdoor world we've priced out some people from their ability to get into the field.
Mm-hmm.
So I think to see that there's quality firearms on the market that a normal everyday person can buy, they can afford, they can use. I think it's fantastic because again, like you say, the handy rifles were
They're
amazing
fantastic
for years. New England Firearm. I mean, they're shotguns and all that stuff, but to see that we have these, again, companies like yours putting out products like this, I mean, I think it's so good, so good. So
We're fortunate here at Christian Outdoors to have quality companies supporting our mission. And Mueller Optics is a perfect example of this. Since 2007, Mueller Optics has had one mission: to bring the passion of hunting and shooting to everyone. Mueller Optics' aim is to offer top-tier rifle scopes that won't break your budget, making quality optics more attainable for enthusiasts like us. Now, I started using Mueller Optics scopes last season. Not only was I impressed with the cost of these scopes, but the quality of the glass and the ease of operation was as good or better than other brands costing 3, 4, 5 times as much as the Mueller Optics scopes do. Whether you're building the rifle for the hunt of a lifetime, an ultimate whitetail setup, or trying to make your 22 perfect for small game hunting and plinking, Mueller Optics has a scope for you that will outperform any other scope in its price point. And to further help Christian Outdoors, if you use promo code COP for Christian Outdoor Podcast, COP35 at checkout, you will save 35% on your purchase. Just go to MuellerOptics.com to find out more. All right. So, my goodness, there's so much to talk about. The Taurus brand. I have been a Taurus fan way before we started working together.
Mm-hmm.
And I just absolutely love everything they make. So let's jump into Taurus now, Caleb, and tell us what's going on with it. What's new? What's coming out? What everybody needs to own.
Oh my gosh, everybody needs to own one of everything in every color, obviously, so that I can, retire. That's what I want. And then when you do buy stuff, say that you bought it because you heard me talk about it on the Christian Outdoors podcast, so that we can really retire.
Yeah,
absolutely. No, but in all seriousness, Taurus has always been we have always done a really good job about owning that entry level gun owner market, right? Like the number of people since I started this job who've told me that their first handgun was a G2C or a G3C or even one of our legacy models that we don't make is significant. And last year, we launched the successor to the G2C. So the G2C will slowly go away as supplies dwindle, and it's been replaced with the GX2. And the GX2 is very much designed to be the successor to the G2C, both in price point and in what the gun does, right? The G2C was never optics ready or anything like that. It was never fancy, and neither is the GX2. It's not, you're not going to sling a light and an optic and a giant drum magazine on it and go take a 10,000 round pistol class. But you know what you are going to do? You're going to go and spend around $300, and you're going to get a reliable 13-shot handgun that you can carry, that you can use for home defense, that has a manual safety on it. Because we actually discovered doing product research that a lot of first-time gun buyers, a lot of people in that entry funnel really want a manual safety on their gun. They look at a striker fired gun and they think, I want a little extra layer of safety. And so it's got it. And it is absolutely that gun. It's your first concealed carry gun. It's the gun that you buy after you buy a 22 to learn how to shoot. And it's been a great success for us. And we look forward to growing that in the future. And we have the way the lines are structured, right? We have the GX4, which covers very small micro compact all the way up to the GX4 carry, which is kind of your P365 size, sort of bigger, small gun. And then we have the G3s. We have the G3s. We're going to have the G3s for a while. And then if people want to go on Google and you want to go look for coverage from IWA, which is the International something arms show. It's in Germany every year. Our Brazilian partners were there with a couple of guns that are going to be coming out to the States later this year. A full featured duty service style pistol lineup from Taurus and a pistol caliber carbine. And again, you can go look those up on the internet. They're out there. I'm not leaking anything that isn't easily discoverable for people to find out about. So, but I'm not going to say their names. Just go look up go search Taurus IWA and you'll find it on YouTube. Okay. But yeah, no, so we've got a lot of really cool stuff coming just on those lines. And then, we are the largest importer of firearms to the United States of America. We're the largest importer of revolvers to the United States of America. We sell a ton of revolvers. We have a new revolver, and this one I can't talk about because this one is embargoed. But we have a new revolver coming out later this year that I am personally excited about. I've been really deeply involved in the development process for this gun, as well as gotten feedback from some friends of mine who are subject matter experts in that defensive revolver space. So I'm very excited to see this come out, as well as some of the other stuff, down the road, right? Like we have the Expedition rifle that we've been very pleased with. And, where do we take that line next? Do we take it up to full-size cartridges? Do we do a 30-06 action, or do we do a micro action? Like, we're in a really good place as a brand where we have a ton of product avenues that we can pursue that are speculative, like the Expedition rifle, like maybe adding new lines, and we can also reinforce our strengths, the revolvers, the compact carry guns, stuff like that.
When it comes to the rifle, the logical thing from a consumer would be, let's get more calibers. Mm-hmm. Let's look and see what are the historically popular calibers. You mentioned 30-06 as one. And what are the new up and comers? But you got to be careful. I would think this is a question for manufacturing there's so many fly-by-night calibers that come out. Mm-hmm. And you go all this expense of tooling and calibrating and getting everything just right for a caliber that 2 years later you can't even find ammo for. And that has happened a lot.
It has. And you see a lot of new calibers come and go. I think that the smart thing to do, and this is not Caleb Giddings, Taurus employee talking. This is Caleb Giddings who likes guns, right? Yeah. Like, if I was going to go in either direction, I think the safe bets would be to either go and do full length 30-06 Magnum calibers, get that long action, because there's a lot of those out there, right? I can open up the gun and now I can do 7mm Magnum. I can do a bunch of other stuff for some really big game. If I want something that hits a little harder than a 308, right? So that would be logical step number one. Or the other equally logical step number two would be to do micro action, 223, 300 blackout. The gun's magazine fed already, right?
Right.
I'm not an engineer, so this may be very, very difficult. But in my head, we already built a magazine fed gun, so we could probably just shrink it and put a 5.56 magazine in there and we're good to go, right? Like, again, I'm not an engineer. It's probably way harder than that. But to my thought process, those are the smart directions to go, right? Give people the calibers that they want. And then that also, like let's say we went the micro caliber route, right? That also would give us the ability to add some, more boutique calibers. Like I am a huge fan of 450 Bushmaster. I love it, and I love it in a bolt gun. I think that in a lot of ways, it's a modernized 4570 in terms of exterior ballistics, terminal ballistics, stuff like that. I would love for us to do an expedition in 450 Bushmaster. I would buy serial number 1, right? I'd fly to Brazil to be like, that one, I'll pick mine out. That one's mine. But no, I think, with expedition, we have a lot of really great options. We've had success with the 308 with the 6.5 Creed, and kind of the sky's the limit for that. It's never going to be our number one seller, right? That's always going to be our compact defensive carry guns, revolvers, GX2s, right, G3s, that sort of stuff, which sort of gives us the ability to do fun stuff like the expedition, right? Like it's like car brands, right? The Mustang's not Ford's number one seller, but because they sell a lot of, I don't know, escape SUVs or whatever it is that they sell, they can build fun Mustangs and they can build Ford Raptors and things like that.
Right. See, I could see when I look at the expedition, I see a Predator gun. That's what comes to my mind when I see it, because a lot of the Predator hunters like that have more, or magazine fed. So 223, 22, 250, 204 Ruger, any of those would be like that. That was my first impression when I saw it at SHOT Show. And y'all came out with it looks like a Predator hunter's gun.
Yeah, it's funny. My first impression of it looks like an M24 sniper rifle. Like the stock shape and all of that is very reminiscent of the old Marine Corps bolt action sniper rifle. And I was like, boy, take one of these. You spray paint this thing matte black, and you got a nice little tactical gun here, which is why I have one in 6.5 Creedmoor in addition to 308.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the size of them too. I mean, just as far as trucking through the woods or whatever with an 18-inch or 20-inch gun is. Yeah, I've got some big guns. Every once in a while, I'm like, out in the woods, crawling through stuff. It makes a difference when you cut a couple inches off. So
I took the 308 to Africa, and I shot a zebra at about give or take 200 yards with it. And as zebra often do, he didn't know he was dead, even though I shot him through the heart, and decided he was going to run for 2 miles. So I tracked this guy through, not me, I did not track him. My professional hunter and our tracker tracked him, and I was like there. But we tracked this guy for a good 2 miles until we finally caught up to him, shot him a couple of more times. Then he realized he was dead. And I was very thankful that the expedition is not a 10-pound sled of a rifle with a 30-inch barrel, And then the next 2-3 days later, I had a similar experience where I shot a kudu, made a good shot on him. We had to track him for a little bit, and when we finally caught up to him, it culminated in a 30-yard foot chase where I'm sprinting through the brush with the expedition again until he finally pops out, and I was in a good position, and I was able to get 2 into him, and he finally went down. And, in both of those situations, the first shot I had made on the animal was fatal, but they were just too tough to, like, they're not going to lay down and die. They were like, no, I'm going to run this off. I'm going to live. But yeah, both of those times, very thankful that I wasn't dragging a great big heavy rifle through the Kalahari.
And they're about what, like 7 pounds, something like that?
Give or take. Yeah. I know we have official statistics somewhere. I'll tell you what it feels like is the way I have mine set up, I like light guns. I had mine set up with a Leupold 3x15 on it. So pretty lightweight scope, nothing crazy. And that gun fully loaded, and then the AR or the M4 that I carry at work, which has an optic and night vision designator and a flashlight on it, they feel about the same. You know what I mean? So probably in that 7 to 8 pound range once they're all added up.
Nice.
Yeah, it's not cool that the website says 112 ounces.
Does it really?
112.87 ounces.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I got to do the math, man. I don't want to have to do the math.
That's a lot of math.
Check my math.
12 divided by 16. 7 pounds. Hey, what do you know? There we go. Nailed it.
There you go. Yeah.
Remind me when we finish building new websites to fix that.
Yeah, really.
Yes.
Wow.
If you like high quality guns and you're good at math, this is the one for you.
Taurus USA. Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's funny.
I'm glad
I could actually, a funny side story about that is the reason why it says ounces is because when we originally built that version of the website, we built it just for handguns because that's all we had at the time, right?
Okay.
And so when we were going to add Expedition to the website, I was talking to our website guys and they're like, there's no button in the website for pounds for the weight of the gun. And I was like,
oh, that's fantastic.
Put it in ounces, I guess. We're just gonna have a fun little math problem for
Why don't you
people.
create that pound button then there?
Yeah, well, that's on the to-do list.
Yes. Yes. Oh wow. That's funny. 112 ounces. I'll carry it to 7 pounds. Where was I going before we got off on that? Oh, the zebra. You were talking about having to carry a 112 ounce gun through the brush.
Yeah.
Could you imagine dragging a zebra back 2 miles? Oh my goodness.
So that story
Thank goodness you can drive to it, you know.
that was a wild one. So we started tracking this guy and we tracked him a ways and we get out there and we finally put him down. We finally get him and we send our tracker back to walk back to go get the truck, right? And he's gone for a real long time and the sun goes down and now it is nighttime in the Kalahari and I have 1 round left in my rifle because it's a 5-shot gun and I shot him once and then I took 3 more at him when he was running once we caught up to him because I really wanted to put him down. And so I got 1 round left in my rifle because like a genius, I left my spare mag back on the truck. So, that wasn't smart. And the sun's gone down. So eventually myself and my PH, CJ, we start walking. We've got to get out of here because we're not it's getting cold. We're not dressed for this. There's jackals and stuff out at night around here. We need to start hoofing it. So we start walking. And we've been walking for about 45 minutes and we finally run into the tracker who has found the truck and is now making his way back towards us. So we drive back out to the zebra. And the funniest thing, CJ, who is an extremely competent professional hunter, and I know he's worked with a lot of, people who've come through to hunt. He's like, hey, do you want us to, now that we've got the truck out here, we can position the lights and get like a better trophy shot of you with the zebra. Because the ones that we took were fading light, sun was almost gone, right? And I was like, no, let's put this stupid zebra on this truck and go back to the lodge because I'm cold, I'm hungry, and I would like a drink. And I bet you guys would too. Let's get the heck out of here. And he was like, thank you so much. I'm so glad you didn't ask to do, another grip and grin. I'm like, no, I'm cold and tired.
You did get some pictures of them though. But
certainly did, yes.
Good enough. How many animals did you end up taking?
So when I was down there, I took a wildebeest, an impala, zebra, and warthog were the 4 that were on my package. I paid extra because I wanted to get a kudu. I got a jackal for free because he popped out of the brush 30 yards from our truck as we were driving. And then I had a very strange encounter. We encountered a wildebeest whose leg had gotten trapped in a snare. It was juvenile, and the left rear leg had been amputated at the knee. So we had to actually chase her down so I could shoot her and put her out of her misery, which was very strange. It was a very strange encounter because we saw this. I've in that moment, I understood why people invent monsters, because when I first saw a 3-legged wildebeest sort of dragging its hind leg through the brush, my brain did not process what I was looking at, right? Yeah. Like I saw a big black shape that wasn't moving like an animal should move. And I'm like, what in the heck is that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you were there for 7 days?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Nice. Sounds like a great trip.
It really was. And it's funny. My boss, my boss said people go to Africa and one of two things happens. They come back and they're like, well, that was good. I've checked my bucket list. Or they come back and they start planning their next trip. And I am in that second category. It changed my brain chemistry. I can't wait to go back.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. I may be going next year. I'm not sure yet, but still working on some details with that. What are we missing now? What have we not covered here, Caleb?
Oh, heavens. I mean, we have a ton of great products on Taurus, right? I could take forever to walk people through the lineup of Taurus products, because we have to judge. And that's the other gun. When people tell me that their first gun was a G2C or a G3C, the other Taurus that I get told about a lot is the Judge. And it's because it is, at this point, it's 20 years old. And it's really kind of iconic. Like, I know Smith & Wesson has the Governor, and the Governor is great and everything, but the Judge was the first, and it is still the gun that people think of when they think of a revolver / shotgun, is the Judge.
Yep. And I carry it every day on my job.
Heck yeah.
Every day, because I'm a beaver trapper for the Department of Agriculture, as the listeners know, and as you know, and there are lots of water moccasins where I work.
Oh, heavens, yeah.
I do not like water moccasins. And for all you snake lovers out there who are listening to this, deal with it. Everyone I see get shot. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Because I don't want to get bit by a water moccasin. I carry it every day. And I got the 2.5 inch cylinder on purpose. Mm-hmm. A little bit shorter, a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to handle with what I use it for. Finding 2.5 inch shells is a little bit harder than the 3 inch shells, but I just buy a bunch when I see them. When I can get them,
it's still pretty doable. And I think if you shop online, for your listeners out there, the best place to find 2.5 inch shells is to shop online. Remington just came out with a really clever load, and they call it's a low decibel 410 load. So it's shooting, I want to say, I have some in here. I could probably go pull the box out, but I want to say it's number 4 shot, not number 4 buck, but number 4 shot at like 650 feet per second. And out of a long gun, it's not, I can't say that it's hearing safe because some lawyer would sue me, but it's really, really quiet out of a long gun. And out of my Judge, it's certainly not as ear blastingly painful as the 44 Magnum, right? I wouldn't want to shoot 200 of them with no hearing protection, but if, I see a snake in my yard or something like that, well, it's a much easier problem to solve now.
Right. It is. And when you got that kind of adrenaline flowing, I actually shot a timber rattler not too long ago with it. When you got that kind of adrenaline going, you don't hear it.
No.
You don't hear it. Get that thing out of here. And that's what I love about it. I really do. I love the Judge. I carry it every day on my job, and the G4 every day as my everyday carry gun. Absolutely love them. Taurus has been a supporter of Christian Outdoors for several years now, and we are very, very thankful for that. And a lot of that is because of Caleb, and I just personally want to thank you on the air for supporting us the way you do. It means a lot to us, and also to our listeners that we have the kind of support that we have from you. So thank you for that.
Yes, thank you very much.
It's my pleasure, guys. I am so blessed in my role to have the ability to put resources and money behind media, behind organizations and stuff that not only do I feel like are doing good for the Second Amendment, doing good for the gun owning community, but are also like people that I would actually like to talk to. And when you have that opportunity and have that ability in my place, it really, like I said, it really is a blessing to be able to support shows like yours and organizations like some of the ones that we're out there supporting.
So thank you for that, buddy. Any other closing comments? I'll have links to all these brands in the show notes. Caleb, you have any other? John, either one of you?
I don't, but I do have a funny story about the first time I shot my Raging Bull. Went out and purchased my Raging Bull, and as Pete mentioned, some of these guns it's hard to find ammo for, right? And my local gun shop didn't have any ammo, so I bought a box of 45 long Colt cowboy loads, and it was like shooting a 22. Yeah, blink, 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 blink. I'm like, this is nothing. 2 days later, I picked up my first a box of shells for 454 Casull. After I'd spent all this time just plinking, like, and I pulled that trigger back, and I almost messed my pants because the violence.
I can believe that.
The violence that occurred in that moment. And, it's ported on the end, so it comes straight back, It was just like somebody had just punched me as hard as they could in the palm of my hand. And a big part of that is because I wasn't hanging on tight enough, because I'd gotten used to shooting these wimpy loads. And so that was my first time I ever shot that gun, but I love it. A lot of one-shot kills with whitetail with that. I mean, I probably should go, maybe get a 44 instead. It's a little overkill at times, but yeah, absolutely love it. But again, yes, I want to echo what Pete said. Thank you so much for your support of the show. It means a lot.
Well, thank you guys. I know I really appreciate that. And as far as, a last word for me, I would just like to, remind everybody that not only can you buy accessories for all of our products at shoptaurus.com, shoprossi.com, shopheritagemanufacturing.com, but also we do work with online retailer partners. So if you're on the Taurus page or the Rossi page or the Heritage page, and you're like, I want one of these guns and I want it delivered to my local FFL, in 2 days, we've got all those retailer partners, Gunbroker, guns.com, there's a whole bunch of them. I don't remember all of them, but you can just click on the button and it'll take you to that website. And if there's ones there, you can send them to your local FFL, and it is real easy. Please do that.
That's nice. That's nice. Yes, please do that. Again, Caleb Giddings of Taurus, Rossi, and Heritage Manufacturing. Thank you for joining us here on Christian Outdoors.